Hey guys, happy Wednesday. So excited to be here and talk about all things weight loss tips that work. This is a topic that I is near and dear to my heart as a dietitian and working with many clients that have weight loss goals. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things, some do's and don'ts of maybe errors that you have fallen victim to. I know myself, I have as well. So we're going to clear up some of that confusion, bust some myths today, and go through all that fun stuff. As always, thank you all for hopping on. I'm so excited to be here. I would love to learn a little bit more about where everyone is tuning in from. So feel free to comment on our chat feature. I have my colleague Kayla working the tech room today. So if you have any questions, she will be able to assist you as we are going through our presentation. So feel free to introduce yourself. My name is Ali. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I work with EatLove, and I'll be doing the training today. And I also work with clients who have weight loss goals as well as other goals, but weight loss being one of the biggest reasons that someone may see a dietitian or seek out nutrition services. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. All right. And anyone watching, let's get a poll going of how many of you have heard of EatLove. Or actually, let's start with what type of UFit membership do you have? Do you have the basic, premium, premium plus, or not currently a member, kind of testing the waters and seeing if it's going to be a good fit? Basic plan. All right. Got one of those. So EatLove is going to be part of our premium or UFit's premium plus services. That's going to have not only access to our wonderful database and technology, which we'll get into a little bit more at the end today, but also on-demand classes, HIT Plus classes if that's a part of your club. So lots of really great things to be included in that Premium Plus membership for, I believe, just about $10 extra a month. So we have basic and premium on call today. Fantastic. All right. Amazing. And I'm based in Austin, Texas for now. All right. So let's go ahead and start our topic of the day. Weight loss tips that work. I'm super excited to talk about this topic too, guys, because if I can save you any trouble or anything that is going to be a waste of time in the long run, I want to do that. I want to help you kind of, and one of the biggest ways to do that is to kind of ask yourself, does it sound too good to be true? Because if it is, it most likely is. The weight loss is not going to be an easy journey. It can be easier than possibly we've made it in the past, but it's still going to be a lot of hard work, effort, dedication, and patience. And I cannot emphasize the word patience enough. That's going to be a huge one. Membership in Tampa. Awesome, Ed. Welcome. All right. So today's agenda, introductions, of course, weight loss tips that work, and we'll save about 5 minutes of time to review just some quick things that EatLove can help you do on your weight loss journey. And if we have time for Q&A. So first, we're going to start with the do's and don'ts of weight loss. We're going to start with the don'ts first because I want to get the negativity out of the way so we can focus on more of the positive side. But 4 tips, there are way more than 4, but for today's purposes, these are the top 4 that I see most often, and some of the ones that you may not expect. So the first one is going to be that you are setting unrealistic goals for where you currently are in life. So picking your goal weight and the rate of weight loss in which you look to lose weight are very common for this category of setting unrealistic goals. So I don't want you to be discouraged if you do have a larger amount of weight to lose. By all means, you have that goal for yourself. But I'm talking about goal weight in weights in which we were in high school, in late childhood. Our bodies grow, we grow and develop, and there's no book or manual that says we have to weigh what we weighed in high school. Sometimes a lot of us end up chasing that dream for decades, doing very extreme dieting habits that are not helpful to our health overall. They're definitely not giving us our weight loss goals, and they're doing a lot of damage in the process. So think about what goal weight you have when you're first getting started, and then break that goal weight up into 5 to 10% chunks if you have a large amount of weight to lose. Because if you're looking at that overarching picture, maybe it took a couple decades, 20, 30 years to put on. It's not going to be something that's going to come off in 2 months. It could take years to get to where you want to be. Doesn't mean it's not possible, but be realistic with yourself and be kind to yourself when you're selecting that goal weight. What is realistic for you in this moment of time? and think about the last time you weighed that weight. If it was more than 5 years ago, if it was 10 years ago, if it was 15, 20 years ago, the further away that goal weight was, the harder it is to set that goal and achieve it where you currently are. So be kind to yourself and just set that realistic expectation up front. And the weight loss weight per week. So a healthy weight loss goal rate is going to be 1 to 2 pounds per week. We know that weight loss is sometimes the last thing to drop, and we can achieve a lot of good in the meantime. But if we set our calorie deficit to too low, so if we're saying like, okay, 2 pounds a goal per week, if we're doing calories in, calories out mentality, we're thinking about, okay, we need to be in a deficit of 1,000 calories a day. If your baseline energy needs, and we talked about this last week on how to set that energy need, and EatLove will help you do that. But if you find that your baseline needs are 2,000 calories and you want to lose weight at a rate of 2 pounds a week, theoretically, you would have to consume 1,000 calories a day, be in a 1,000 calorie deficit. That's not a realistic goal. That is not something that you can maintain long term. And it's going to make the whole journey very difficult because you're going to be constantly hungry. You're going to be constantly tired, and you're not going to have the energy to do other things that are supportive for your goals. Your sleep could suffer. Your energy could suffer. A lot of things could suffer in that, right? So when we're looking at that rate, that weight loss rate, even if you want to do faster is not always better. We don't need to go 2 pounds a week. We don't even have to do a pound a week. We can do something called micro deficits that are a lot more supportive and maintainable. This is where you can actually lose weight without feeling like you're on a weight loss journey. Yes, it will take more time, but in that time that you have more time to work on other things where you're not so fixated on the rate of which you're losing weight. So those are 2 things I want you to think about when you're setting your goals, is not to set that unrealistic expectation. The second one being choosing lower calorie foods, low fat foods, low carb foods, diet foods. This is just a red flag all around. Low calorie, low fat aren't always the best choice. If we're constantly looking for the low calorie option, the low calorie option is not getting us to our baseline calorie needs. And we'll talk about that on the do's when we are looking at how we need to attack our weight loss with this new perspective and this new lens. Because if we're not hitting our baseline needs, we're going to be chronically under fueling. So low calorie is not the best for weight loss. We need to make sure that we're hitting targets. So choosing low calories, low fat, low carb foods, diet foods, they're never as good as the real thing either. So how can we find that moderation? How can we find that balance? But our diet for weight loss does not start with low calorie. It does not start with low fat even. It's going to start with, what does our diet look like now, and what can we add more of it so we can put ourselves in a position for better health on our weight loss journey. The third being not lifting weights. And I'm going to kind of group 3 and 4 together because they kind of go hand in hand, is that if you are not lifting weights and you're focused solely on cardio and focused solely on the scale moving, you may not want to lift weights because maybe you're putting muscle on. But weightlifting can help boost metabolic rate, increase muscle mass, and promote fat loss. Muscle is more dense than fat. Muscle weighs more than fat. So if you are lifting weights and finding that you're gaining weight and it's taking the scale in the opposite direction, but you're lifting more, you're feeling more energized, and your clothes are fitting better, these are all really good indicators that lifting weights is going to be beneficial for your weight loss journey. Not just the scale, but looking at other factors. We don't want to ignore something that has such a positive effect just because it gets that scale down. So weightlifting, we cannot not ignore. Everyone watching today is either a member of a gym or looking to join UFIT. So that is fantastic. You're going to be able to feel supported in that weight section, in that weightlifting goals that you have. That's going to be supportive for your overall weight loss journey. And of course, number 4 being focusing on that scale only, is that when you do that, weight loss becomes very difficult because that's the only measure of success that you're working with. You may adopt really unhealthy habits at the same time. You may underfuel purposely. You may restrict yourself. You may only eat salads with nothing else in them because you want that number to come down. So you're not really supporting your lifestyle overall when you start to focus on those things. And like I said, same with weightlifting. Muscle weighs more. It's okay that it weighs more because it's healthier for your body overall to have good muscle mass and increase that to promote fat loss. But if we're not lifting because we find that we're gaining weight, but it doesn't support our goals in the way that we want to support them. So focusing on measurements, how your clothes are fitting, non-scale victories. Non-scale victories being energy, sleeping better, less stress, planning your meals, going grocery shopping, cooking more at home. All of these are non-scale victories that are going to help you weight loss with your weight loss journey. In fact, if you're not doing these things, it's going to make the weight loss journey very difficult. So all of these lifestyle pieces have to be put in place while you're getting started. As always, guys, let me know if you have any questions during our topics today. Do want to run another poll for you guys before I talk about the do's of weight loss. Reset polls. Are you often stressed about your meals? Let's talk about that one. So the do's of our weight loss journey, another 4 here. Again, many more I could talk about, but these are some of the biggest ones. Is that 1, you want to meet your baseline energy needs. This is an absolute must. Going off of the point where we don't want to get low calorie, low carb, low fat diet food options because we're not hitting our baseline. Like I said, if your baseline need is around 200 calories and you want to put yourself in a deficit for a 2 pound weight loss, that's 1,000 calories a day. That is not enough to sustain a full grown adult. So if you are someone that has been in this pattern of yo-yo dieting and severe restrictiveness for 5 years, 10 years, 20, I've even seen 30 plus years where you're under fueling, you actually may need to refuel your metabolism before you start creating that deficit for weight loss. This is typical if you're someone that's, say, around 1,200 calories, you've been on a weight loss journey for years, you have not seen success, and the very fact being that you're just not getting enough energy. And it sounds crazy to think about because if I get more food, I'm going to gain weight, and not necessarily. You actually have to support your metabolism in a way that's healthy. And if you are chronically in this underfed, underfueled state, you're not going to get there by keeping your calories where they are. God forbid, reducing them even further than 1,200. Not a good fit. You need to refuel. You need to reverse what it's almost called reverse dieting. And that can take months to get to where you need to be. Say that 2,000 is your baseline and you've been at 1,000 or 1,200 for years. To get to that number, it's going to take a lot of time to start reintroducing foods, and you can't introduce 800, 1,000 calories overnight and not feel comfortable with it. It's going to take some time. So be kind to yourself when you are doing that process. And then we talked about the thing with micro deficits. So a 1 pound of weight loss per week is going to be 500 calories. A micro deficit for, say, a half pound is going to be 250 calories. If your baseline needs are 2,000 and you put yourself in a 250 calorie deficit at 700 or 1,750 calories a day, you're never really going to feel overly hungry. You can work out and feel good at that number, but it's because you are supporting yourself and you're not doing something so drastic. So yes, this takes time, but you can lose weight without having to suffer. You can lose weight without feeling hungry, without feeling deprived, and that's the smart way to do it. So looking at our poll over here, we have 66% feel stressed about meals sometimes and 33% never. So of the 66% of you that feel stressed sometimes, what is it about mealtime that is so stressful? Is it that you're cooking for multiple family members that have different preferences, picky eaters, you're just not sure how to support your health goals? So if you want to, feel free to put in the chat some of those why you feel stressed. Let's talk about it. Let's definitely dive into that piece. Number 2 is to get plenty of the following nutrients. Protein gets a lot of love when it comes to weight loss. But the reality is that we can't ignore our other macros either. We can't ignore carbs. We can't ignore fat. And the protein amounts that we should be getting at any one point in time is going to be 35%. We don't need to go higher than that. We don't need to go higher than that to see weight loss results quicker. It's actually not going to be good for our kidneys long term. So anywhere between 15 to 35% of our daily intake should be protein. So we can't forget about that, but we don't want to overdo on the protein either and forget about some of the other nutrients. Fiber and fluids don't get talked enough about, as well as whole foods where possible. Whole foods being anything that comes from a whole food product, fruits and vegetables, but also have fiber and fluids, which is a win-win-win. Whole grains, beans, legumes, extra virgin olive oil, all of these things are going to be very beneficial, nutrient-dense whole foods, and we want to get more of them in our diets. Fiber also keeps us feel fuller longer, so we're not turning towards more additional snacks when we're well fed. We don't constantly think about food when we're well fed. We just live our lives, we listen to our hunger and satiety cues, and we're able to trust that. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the following slide. The third is to slow down at mealtime. So how many of you watching today, conscious of calories? Paul, okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah, conscious of the calorie piece for stressed about meals. So I'll show you where EatLove can help with that. But slowing down with meals, I'm raising my hand because I'm guilty of this all the time, is answering emails during lunch or working through, dinner. You're, doing multiple things at once where you're not really focused on the meal at hand. You're eating distracted. So take time and slow down during your meals and be present with that action. I want you to focus on your internal cues, like your hunger and satiety, rather than external cues. External cues are things like eating distracted, like TV's on, lots of things going on in the background. Your plate is empty, so you want to get more food. There is more food, so you're forcing yourself to eat more. You're eating with other people who have finished eating or are continuing eating that have dictated your choices. So be present with yourself. Sit down, test it out tomorrow or even tonight. Sit undistracted. Take a bite of food and count to 10 before you take another one, or set your fork down in between bites. Simple things like that to slow down the process is going to, overall, you won't eat as much. So, Paul, to your point with conscious of calories, it slows you down. It slows you down to the point where your brain and gut connect and tell you, I am full. And you're able to recognize that cue because you're listening to your body undistracted. Right. So then number 4 is going to be reevaluate often. So critical if you have larger amounts of weight loss to lose and you need that dedication and that motivation to be sustained for a very long period of time. So if this isn't your first rodeo when it comes to attempting weight loss, ask yourself what worked before. And it may have, what worked before in the moment. Was it sustainable? Were you able to see good results that were life-changing and everlasting after that point? Or was it something that was a quick surface level result that didn't last forever because it was too strict, not sustainable, all of the above? So if you have found something that has worked and you've been successful with maintaining that, revisit it again. Is it something that you can incorporate into this pattern? Or more often I hear that just it worked in the moment and then I gained the weight back, or I was able to do it for 2 months and then fell off the wagon. It's not really working if that's the case. So don't be fooled. That's, diet culture and trying to bring you back into that feeling. Don't be fooled by it. That's why the diet industry is billions and billions of dollars, because it works in the moment, but it does not give you the lifestyle changes. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that lifestyle changes, because we have to change our perspective and change our expectations of what it means. And it doesn't start with the list of foods and you can and can't have. It doesn't start with a rigid meal plan. It starts with changing your relationship with food and how you're viewing food and how you're viewing the action of actually eating your meal. So let's talk a little bit about that on our slide over here. So how to enjoy your favorite foods while losing weight. I want you all to think about a time in your day, every day, maybe even tomorrow. Just take a note of it. Every time you hear yourself say something about the food that you're about to take, whether it's I can't eat that, or I feel guilty if I eat this, or I did so good today, or this food is bad, this food is good. I want you to think about that internal diet talk, that dialogue that you're having with yourself on a daily basis. Try to find the root cause of that. This is an activity I play with myself from time to time, because no one, I think, in our society is averse to diet culture. It's all affected us in some way. But in a way, it's something that we need to turn off. How do we turn that off? How do we disprove? How do we turn off that thinking, that mentality altogether? So Main Street diet tips aren't the answer to long-term lifestyle change. That's why we keep coming back for more, because it never actually works. So how do we actually change it for good? The best news is that you never have to eliminate favorite foods, pizza, pasta, favorites of mine. I have a sweet tooth. I love sweets, but it's not something that I feel out of control around because of the way that I view food now. Even though myself, I'm not on a weight loss journey, I had been in the past. But these are things that you can do, these top 3 things that you can do right now to examine how you're viewing that aspect. So reject that all or nothing mentality. This is also known as black and white thinking. It's very extreme on either end, Where's the middle ground though? If we are eliminating things in our house, if we're throwing out things in the pantry, if we are depriving ourselves until holiday, vacation, wedding day, these are extreme scenarios. There's a whole middle ground, 8 to, let's say, number 2 to number 9 on the scale of middle balance that we can find. Why isn't it that we go for the extreme? Why is it that we do that? And how do we reject that mentality? Because it's not helping us with our relationship with food. It's not helping us understand and feel less stressed about mealtime. So do that activity with yourself. I encourage you all to kind of see what you're asking yourself or telling yourself during the day as you're eating, and try to find that root cause of that. Where did you hear this? Is there any truth to that? How can I support this in a healthier balance? The second one is to examine your relationship with food. If you are labeling things as good and bad, why are you doing that? Why do you feel like that is something that is on the forefront of your mind? Food has no moral value. Food is fuel at the end of the day. We can incorporate everything into our lifestyle without feeling guilty about it. So the last one being honor our cravings, because if we are depriving ourselves of foods that we enjoy, what we do is basically we're able to avoid it for so long, but we can't live in a world without cookies and cake and pizza. It's just, it doesn't exist. So we may be able to avoid it for a certain time, but after that time, when we do get it again, we're not going to feel in control of our choices around it. We're going to let that food have that power. So you need to take that power on that food. You need to live with that in your house. You need to be able to feel comfortable opening that freezer and seeing a pint of ice cream saying, hey, I acknowledge you. You're there. If I want a sweet treat later on today, I can have it in moderation because the food no longer has that power over me, known as like the Last Supper mentality, where you feel like you're never going to get it again. We always get it again. It's always going to be there. But how do we change it so that we can reject that mentality, have a healthy relationship with food, and honor our cravings and balance? So we can't ignore, we've talked about diet all day today, but we can't ignore the non-diet lifestyle habits that make all the difference. The first one being understand your stressors. So when we are chronically stressed, whether it's from work, whether it's from family situations, we release a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol can manifest low-grade inflammation throughout our bodies that can lead eventually to more chronic conditions like diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease being the #1 killer in our country. So we want to make sure that our stress is in check. Diet, yes, plays a super important piece of it, but we need to make sure that our bodies and mental care and mental and physical self are on point as well. Mix up your workouts. When is the last time you've changed your workout? And I'm only using this example because I use this picture. But if you're going to the gym and hitting on the treadmill for 30 minutes, you're eating 1,500 calories a day, and you haven't seen that weight loss change, challenge your body. Throw in some excitement, change up your routines, add some weightlifting. Make sure that your body is left guessing. If you have not changed your workout routine in a couple years, a couple months, revisit it. This is the perfect time to do that because you all have access to UFit, where you're able to go in and get that additional assistance that you need for your workouts. So find that happy balance between diet and physical activity and exercise. Get plenty of sleep, whatever this looks like for you. I am a 10-hour-a-night gal. Don't think I'm ever changing that. But if you are 6, 7, 8+ hours a night, make sure that you have a sleep routine. Are you going to bed at the same time? Are you waking up at the same time every day? Make sure that you are supporting your rested state as well. When we sleep, so many good things can happen. Our immune system builds up because we're able to build that army while we sleep. But if we don't sleep, our body doesn't get a chance to rest. And without resting, again, low-grade inflammation, gut bacteria can grow. We need to support ourselves entirely, and that includes resting when we need to rest. And then, of course, find your support system, where we can do that through EatLove and through our Facebook group. That is UFit Gyms times EatLove on Facebook. If you want to put that link in our chat today, you guys can all join over there. That's our free community where we talk about lifestyle change, and we do recipes of the week, and it's a really good time. So support system through your friends, your family, and then, of course, us at EatLove as well, and UFit Gyms. So with the couple minutes I have left today, I did want to talk about EatLove and what personalized nutrition looks like. So we are a personalized nutrition technology that is part of the Premium Plus membership at UFit, where you can dine on the go and cook meals at home with food that you actually have heard of. It's not crazy ingredients. It's just nice whole foods that we've talked about. How can help us in our weight loss journeys. So I'm going to go over and share my screen for a couple slides. While I'm doing that, I do want to do one more poll today. And it's going to be, how often do you run out of meal ideas? So one of my favorite topics. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so I'm over in the client side, the desktop version of EatLove. So we do have an app as well that you can get to from the YouFit app. If you click in the YouFit app, you'll be able to see an EatLove tile in there, which is fantastic. All in one place, meals and exercise. We also do have a login on the desktop. If you're someone that likes to plan well in advance, you could do an expanded view section. The expanded view is going to give you your week at a glance. I love it here. Think of it as your forecast into the week ahead. And think of EatLove as like a Spotify playlist of meals. So it almost kind of looks like Spotify in a way where you can favorite things, you can skip them, you can repeat it. But basically think of it as it's always going to be giving you inspiration unless it's not something that it'll always give you inspiration, but it may not be what you end up eating that day. So for example, if I go to my expanded view section, I have a couple of things on the menu for tomorrow. If I'm not feeling this carrot cake oatmeal, I can always swap it for something that does fit my goals. So a smart choice is going to fit my nutrition requirements. So if you're constantly running out of meal ideas, you're stressed about meals because you're not sure about the nutrition criteria, you can always know that if you select something from Smart Choices, it's going to fit your nutrition prescription, it's going to fit your calories, it's going to fit your macros. And it takes that thinking a piece out of it, but also you know that you can feel supported with these options and feel confident going forward knowing that you have something that fits your goals. You can also peek at what that day looks like. So this test profile is set for whatever profile that you plan that you set up for, and it'll show you your calories, macros, a whole bunch of things that include the nutrition label, so you can get the day at a glance there. With that piece, another thing that we have on here is the swap feature for restaurant meals. So we're the only app with geolocation that will tell you how to build a burrito bowl from Chipotle. It'll show you exactly what to include with your smart choices. So lots of options at Chipotle. Starbucks does a really good job. Chick-fil-A does a pretty decent job with additional smart choices. And you can still eat some of those foods on the go, even if you don't, even if you're on a weight loss journey. That's the best piece because you don't have to eliminate everything. It's always about finding that balance. And I hope with today, some of those tips and tricks are going to be able to stick with you long-term if you are on a weight loss journey, and how to do that lens. One of the last things I wanted to show you over here is that the recipe, we're going to do the grocery list. So let's say you've provisioned your account for all the meals you want for the upcoming week. If you add these to your grocery cart and you go to your grocery cart icon up here, you've actually created your grocery list. Of course, click through things that you already have. Condiments are not necessarily something we have to buy on a weekly basis, but then you're left with your list of fresh foods and ingredients that you need for the week. And from there, you can print it, pen and paper. You can send it to your family member. You can also buy online through one of our online partners, where we have about 94% of the zip codes in the United States. I'm a fan of Amazon Fresh in this household. It's super seamless. If I click on this and send to my Amazon Fresh cart, my groceries are delivered to my door in just a couple hours. So I can spend more time in the kitchen. If I'm running short on time and I don't have time to cook at home, I'll delegate the the grocery shopping piece of it so that I can spend time where matters, planning my meals, getting ready for the week, and knowing everything fits my nutrition goals and targets. So I'm going to go back into our webinar today. Amazing. And just checking out our poll is 75% often run out of ideas and 25% sometimes. So 100% of you watching today have run out of ideas in the past. So EatLove is going to be a really great alternative to that and saving you the stress and the time with that. Amazing. All right, so I'm going to leave it open for questions for just a couple minutes. I appreciate you all staying on just a few minutes extra today. Let's see, we do have a Q&A from Paul. What are foods that stimulate your metabolism? What to eat pre-workout, post-workout? Amazing, Paul. So I should actually add these. I think you can actually see them from the YouTube channel. I have done a whole presentation on pre and post-workout snacks. Basically, what you're going to eat dictates the time before your workout. Post is a little bit easier. You're usually looking for a whole meal, but we need to get a balance of protein, fats, and carbs. Of course, carbs being the most important pre-workout. You want moderate fat, so lower fat, just, and it depends on your activity and your own personal GI system. If you are running on the treadmill, if you are doing high intensity classes, jumping around may not feel the best with a belly full of fat, but carbs will. Carbs will feel great because your body is pulling from it, using it as direct energy. Protein, moderate protein as well. Post-workout, you're just going to want to eat a full meal. Get a mix of protein, fats, and carbs, as long as it's not nauseating in any way to eat. How soon after? It's basically whenever you feel comfortable. To stimulate your metabolism, you just want to make sure, first and foremost, you're getting enough calories. That's going to be, it's not necessarily the foods themselves, it's going to be the energy baseline. So making sure that you're eating enough to support what your goals are. And then looking at whole food products. So where can you get more fruits and vegetables? Where can you get more whole grains? Where can you get more beans and legumes? Extra virgin olive oil. You can see my olive oils over there. There's about 10 of them. Super high nutrient dense food. It has a lot of calories, but it's very supportive because it's nutrient dense and it has a lot of great polyphenols, brain health, memory, cognition, all that good stuff. So I'd take a peek at your just baseline energy needs for your metabolism first and foremost. It's not necessarily going to be foods, because all foods have energy, all foods have calories. So I'd start there first. Awesome. Great question, though. Anyone watching today interested in learning more about EatLove? So I'm going to include our support link, our support email, down here at the bottom. Oop, I put that in the Q&A. EatLove.is. And then if any of you watching are interested in signing up, feel free to visit your home YouFit gym to get the process started. But we have a good time. We have a good time on these webinars. We have a good time through our Facebook group. So definitely a community and accountability resource for you to have. If this journey, this weight loss journey, or just general any health goal that you have for yourself, whether it's managing diabetes, whether it's just eating generally healthy and figuring out what that lifestyle looks like for you, we got you. So feel free to let us know if you have any questions, and I will let you all go for today. Have a great week, and we will talk soon.